is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Howdy, back. There he is, Ira Winderman from the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And, of course, you can catch him twice a week here doing his thing. Tomorrow, by the way, special time for the Pallet Rack City Inside the Paint Show. It'll be from noon to 1 p.m. with the whole West Coast swing. We're going to do it a little later, so we'll do the first couple of hours, and then we'll hand it off to the boys, and they will wrap up the show. It's a beautiful thing about digital. We can adjust, which is awesome.
Thank you for letting me get some sleep, because last night it was about 2 a.m. when I finally got done.
It's all good, bro. That's what we're here to do, man. You know what I mean? Either way, it gets done. That's the beautiful thing about what we do. Last night, I got to tell you something. I went to sleep with a smile on my face, sad about the Butler injury, but what I mean by I love the effort, man. They didn't play a great game. They made some mistakes. You know, obviously Tyler didn't play well. Lowry had too many turnovers. Hero didn't shoot well, all that stuff. But man, they hung in there with the number one team in the NBA, and they made it kind of interesting. And to that, I was like kind of grateful that they made it a game last night. I don't know if that's the right attitude, but
no, it is. It's interesting hearing you talking to Cam Wolf and previously in your Dolphins report. The Dolphins had a bunch of unsatisfying victories that even when they were winning, you still had questions. This was a satisfying Heat loss,
right?
Because this team showed it will give everything it has. After the game last night, Steve Kerr said he has never seen a better undermanned performance. That you had Jimmy Butler go out in the third quarter there. That you had Bam Adebayo and Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and Dwayne Dedmon not playing. And yet Big O, against the best team in the league, on their home court, you were within 4 points in the last 3 minutes of a game. That shows you, at moments of truth, Eric Spoelstra has a way, and that when you get to the moments of truth in the playoffs, this team finds a way. So, yeah, I'm with you, O. I went to bed satisfied last night knowing, look, we all thought 30-point loss, 40-point loss, something hideous. That was a schedule loss when the schedule came out in August.
Yes.
When you were scheduled to back-to-back at Golden State after playing the previous night at Sacramento and bussing over, most teams, many teams, would have sat their regulars, would have said, okay, we call uncle. We're going to give up on that. That's not the Heat way. They fought the good fight. That was an inspiring defeat, unlike some of the Dolphins' uninspiring victories.
Exactly. Like the Jets is what you're kind of like getting at.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know what you're saying. And, when I'm watching a Caleb Martin play to the moment, you know what I mean? It's not just a young guy trying, like Kyle Guy is out there playing with like this incredible swag.
Right.
Like he has no fear. I love that kid because he knows this is his moment. Unlike KZ Okpala, this is his moment, and I'm going to take advantage of it every second that I can, and I love his attitude. But Caleb Martin is just showing me composure, playing a complete game, hitting big shots. Man, that kid is he has grown on me like crazy. Watching that game yesterday, that was just awesome.
He is a large testicles player. He gives you everything he has on the court, and that's what you want. It's a hard role in the NBA to be a if-needed reserve. But you can call on Caleb Martin to give energy to the lineup.
Yeah.
You can call on Caleb Martin to hit a big three-pointer. You can call on Caleb Martin to be a defensive stopper. Look, I don't think Jimmy Butler's going to miss maybe more than one game. I was on the phone with people. They said they think it's relatively minor. He'll be back by Saturday against Phoenix is the hope. But you know what? If you have to go without Jimmy for a game, at least you have a Caleb Martin. At least you have a guy who can defend the opponent's best player. He's done that 2 nights in a row now in Sacramento and Golden State, who can hit some three-pointers, who can give you some activity at the rim and keep everyone involved. Again, these little moves the Heat make. They need to get a two-way player. They get the best two-way player. They need to get an emergency 10-day player. They get a Kyle Guy who's had 3 really good games for them against Houston, against Sacramento, and last night against Golden State. So again, as much as we talk about development, and Dave Hyde wrote about this the other day when he spoke to Stan Van Gundy at the Sun Sentinel, it's also about scouting. It's about finding the right players. The Dolphins can talk all they want, whether it's Dieter or someone else, about developing someone. But you know what? If he's not the right guy in the first place, if you're drafting the wrong guy, you can develop from now till kingdom come, and he's still going to be the wrong guy. So what the Heat have done is this, Big O. They've gotten the right guys and made the right guys even more of the right guys.
Kyle Guy does he end up on their G League? Does he end up with again, this is from pure ignorance. Can he even have a two-way contract? What's
Here's
the
deal
with Kyle Guy? What's his future? Can he have a future with the Heat?
By mid-January, the Heat have to settle in on the two-way players. They can, if they want, cut Marcus Garrett and hope he stays out there available to him and sign Kyle Guy. Let's be honest, Big O.
Two different kinds of players.
Yeah, if you have Max Strus and if you have Duncan Robinson, the odds are, let's be honest, Kyle Guy's not going to play that much. So he has a nice little skill to bring in to be a three-point shooter. Now, if the Heat are sitting there and going, you know what? Big O told us we have to trade Duncan Robinson, so we're going to do that by February 10th. Then all of a sudden, Max Strus and Kyle Guy, and you still have your dual, floor spacers out there, so that's possible. So it's just nice to explore things. And Big O, you know this. The Heat have brought in players, let players go, and cycled back to them. They did that with Bruce Bowen at one point. Yeah. It's always good to have that, to use an old man's term, Rolodex available so that you can cycle.
Carlos Silva.
Exactly. So that you can go through and you can find another player. So I think the Heat are at least going to have Kyle Guy in their thoughts, even if they have to let him go. And here's another thing. And I think this is great.
By the way, on Silva, he's the same guy. I didn't see any improvement from him.
No, but the same guy as a 15th guy is fine. He was very good in the second quarter. In the first quarter, when Big O took those two,
but it's the same player. It's what I'm saying. It hasn't really expanded the game at all.
Yes, I believe what you're trying to say. He still has the Joel Anthony hands, and I will agree with that. But still, you know what? In the moment, Omar Yurtseven goes out, gets a couple of stitches above his eye. You have Chris Silva comes in, gets 6 points, 4 rebounds, keeps you afloat. That's all you're asking right now for emergency players. And I got to tell you, and you made a good point before, I'd rather have a player who gives every last ounce than have a player like a KZ Okpala. My wrist hurts. I can't play. I'm out again, another injury. I'd rather have the guys who were the dive on the floor and give you every last ounce with less talent than the guys who were talented, but they're just not there.
Right. I'm with you 100%. By the way, Yurtseven had that rookie moment from one end of the court to the other last night. I felt bad for the kid, but it's one of those moments, man. You get posterized one side and then the foul on the other. It is what it is.
But you also get 17 rebounds. And you go from 16 the previous game. And we're talking 33 rebounds in the last 2 games. And you could talk about being tall and accidental boards and getting missed free throws. And I get all that. It's still an impressive number. And I like what Eric Spoelstra said. When Yurtseven went to the locker room, he said, I wouldn't be surprised if Udonis Haslem FaceTimed him and said, get your stitches and get your ass back out there. And to his credit, he did get back out there.
Yeah,
and he didn't want to see the plastic surgeon so he would look nice and pretty.
And fearless. And fearless.
And he took it out there. That's another nice story. Again, Big O, when Bam Adebayo comes back, probably within 2 weeks. When Dwayne Dedmon comes back, probably within a week. We might not see as much as Omer, and that's fine. Because maybe we see him.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I was going to ask you, maybe Dedmon's not playing as many minutes because this kid has more skill set offensively, and he can rebound like Dedmon anyway. So you're not going to lose on the rebounding. Now you will lose defensively. I get it. That's the part.
And the veteran savvy and staying out of foul trouble. Look, when Bam first went out, this team stayed afloat, and they stayed afloat because of Dwayne Dedmon. Look, I want to have difficult decisions. I want to have difficult decisions about my backup center. That's perfect. That's all you want in your roster constructions. That Omar Yurtseven has raised questions, and God bless him for that. That he's not just a Summer League 2-game wonder, that he's been able to do it at this level. His teammates love him. They push him. They're learning them. That's all you can ask.
And by the way, now, and to get greedy, which I talked a little bit about it yesterday, can you imagine if you can get out of the 3 guys, one of them to be a 3-point shooter? Because really, you're never really, because of the way they're set up, you really can't play both of them at the same time.
No,
Any of the combinations. But if one of these guys ever becomes a stretch guy, then all of a sudden now you can play two of your big men out on the court. Rarely. It's not something you need
Right.
a lot.
Well, I have two thoughts on that. Number
Go-
one, Dedmon has done that to a degree. It has a very good 3-point percentage. But here's the deal, I don't want Omer doing that now. I don't want to take him away from the rim. Maybe
Right,
he
I
can
agree.
do it. I want eyes on the rim. I want him in the paint and right there. And I think if you distract a young player with too much, then you become okay at a bunch of things, but
Jalen
not great.
Phillips.
Yeah,
Jalen Phillips. They
right,
made him drop back in coverage, and he wasn't doing anything early in the
right.
season. Then they said, kid, forget the coverage, unleash the Kraken. Go get
Yes,
the
yes. Eyes
quarterback,
down
and
with
boom.
Jalen Phillips, eyes on the quarterback. With Omar
That's it.
Yurtseven, eyes on the rim and eyes on the rebound. Let's get one thing done at a time. Don't
I
overfill
love
his
that.
plate. I agree.
I love that. By the way, I know they reviewed it, okay? But just for the fact that Kyle Guy got that charge on Draymond, I was like, wow, they even gave the youngin some respect there. You know what I'm saying? Because it
Right, for
was
a few
kind of a
minutes.
close call. You know what I'm saying? It could have gone either way. You would figure a young guy like that would never get that call. And when he got that call, I was like, wow, they gave the young guy the call. That was actually good.
And you can see that he's picking up the culture, that all these guys have come in. Kyle
Yes.
Guy is taking charges. Chris Silva's taken some really big charges in his 3 games with the Heat. So they understand if you want to play here, you got to get your ass on the floor. You've got to hit the deck. You've got to play hard. And they have. Everyone who's stepped in and played. And again, credit to Eric Spoelstra. He could do the easy way out and play Mario Chalmers for nostalgia. Eric Spoelstra wants to win.
Win.
He's not going to play your little, you should play this guy, you should play that guy. Eric Spoelstra is going to do what it takes to win. And right now, God bless 35-year-old Mario Chalmers, but Kyle Guy is the better player.
You know what I'm thinking of when you're mentioning that? I'm thinking of sitting with my girlfriend, which is my wife, but then she was my girlfriend because this was 30 years ago when I was a season ticket holder of the Heat the first 4 years before I got in this business. And the first 2 years, we would scream for Alan Ogg.
Sure.
So whenever there was a blowout, either way, Miami
Mhm.
getting blown out or they were actually blowing somebody out, we would be screaming for Alan Ogg, and Ron Rothstein would call the big guy, rest in peace, Alan. And he would go out there and the whole place would be chanting
Right.
Ogg and all that stuff. So it kind of reminds me that's what Mario Chalmers is going to become, our modern day Alan Ogg.
Except I don't think he'll even be with the team by the time they get back to FTX Arena. Because as players come back, if you're an emergency addition, you have to go inactive. Eric Holman was inactive last night because PJ Tucker came back. So once Strus or Vincent or Robinson come back, Mario's going to go inactive. He probably won't even make it back on the trip back to FTX Arena, excuse me. But you know what? They tried. They gave him their moments. Mario posted on Twitter last night. It's just great to see players are enjoying opponents seeing me out there. He shakes some hands. Hey, it's better than nothing. And he gets an extra $95,000 for his efforts.
Right, nothing wrong with that. I could use an extra $95,000. That I wouldn't complain with that. Portland Wednesday as this road trip continues. Does Damian Lillard end his career there?
I think he does. I think he's one of those guys who's really wed to his team, and if he has to go down with the defeat, he will. I do think Portland has to have a major shakeup. I think C.J. McCollum will be traded. I think they're going to try to have to rework that. But, you know, in a place like Portland, if you let an icon go, no free agent is coming there.
Right.
So unless you do it through a trade, their icons have been drafted, whether it's, winding up with someone like Clyde Drexler or winding up with someone like Damian Lillard. So you got to be careful. You let an icon go, you might not have a face of the franchise. So I think they keep him there. They work around it. Their defense is hellacious, is horrific. Chauncey Billups hasn't been the answer there. That's a winnable game even without Jimmy Butler because you will score on that team. If Lillard is hitting 30-footers, they'll win. If he's not, you'll win. But I think he rides it out there. I think he's committed to that franchise.
He's been a pro's pro when it comes to that. He's
a man's man.
Nobody could ever complain about Damian Lillard being, acting like Antonio Davis in New Orleans. What was the shirt he had on that was making fun of the organization on his way out? Well, I forgot what. Remember AD? He was wearing some shirt What was that shirt? I forgot now.
No,
But
I
yeah,
remember he's wearing the T-shirt there also, and it was just ugly, and he wasn't being played at the end. So yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
that's not the Lillard way. The Lillard way is unlike Anthony Davis. Is he's gonna ride it out. He's gonna be the good soldier. That doesn't mean they might not trade him. It's
No, I
not
know.
all his
I know.
choice. But I think if they do trade him, it'll be one of those. Where do you want to go? How can we best help you? Perhaps win a championship.
Any updates on any of the injured players?
Yeah, from what I've heard, Max Strus, I have heard, is cleared protocol, so I think he could be back in Portland. I heard all the protocols of guys are closed. I think you might have 2 or 3 more players, whether it's Gabe Vincent, whether it's Strus, whether it's Robinson, whether it's Garrett, whether it's Haslam. They're coming back. Dwayne Dedman's getting pretty close to moving past his injury also, so
Nice.
that's encouraging. Bam is on the trip. He's getting reacclimated. That tells me he's just about a couple of weeks away. He's actually working with that right thumb, even though it's in a splint. So that's another good sign. So again, Big O, you and I have spoken on these Acura Pembroke Pine reports twice a week about how you stay afloat. The Heat have stayed afloat. If you get one of these next 2, Portland or Phoenix, and you come home in that 8 games over 500 range, you're fine. You have a home schedule the second half of the season. You're going to have healthy players. Jimmy Butler will be back. You'll be fine. They've won enough. Sacramento would have helped, but they've still managed to remain afloat.
By the way, Sports Illustrated took out their power rankings, and last night, you look at it, Golden State, the team you played, was number 1 in the league.
They're
No
great.
surprise.
They're great.
But my brother, the Heat are still number 8.
Yeah, I've seen them
that's huge respect considering
at
how short men
ESPN,
they
The
play.
Athletic, and everywhere. They've been between 6 and 8 all season. People know what's there. They know the core of
Right.
this team. And again, Big O, if this team is whole, there's not a single team in the Eastern Conference they can't beat in a best-of-7 playoff
Agreed.
series, because I don't think there's a single coach in the Eastern Conference I would take in a playoff series over Eric Spoelstra, whether that's Steve Nash in Brooklyn or Mike Budenholzer in Milwaukee or even Billy Donovan in Chicago. That's another ace in the pocket. And you've seen even the subtle moves with the injuries, what Eric Spoelstra does. Damn, he's a really good coach, and he's a Hall of Fame coach.
And by the way, I know I'm going to get way ahead of myself here with this one, okay? But if it works out this way, if the trajectory is what it looks like right now, and Caleb Martin continues on this trajectory towards the end of the season, whether Depot comes back or not, will not be that big of a loss if you have the development of Caleb Martin, is my point.
And
Obviously, if Depot does come back, it makes you incredibly deep. But my point is, Caleb can do a lot of the things that you want Oladipo to do for you. So in a way, you kind of found an Oladipo insurance policy.
Sure.
If it doesn't work out, is my point.
And the lesson we learned when Alonzo came back in that 2000-2001 season late and changed the chemistry, there will be a point of no return. There will be a point either in March or April that he'd say, we're good, and we're good with this. And God bless you, Victor Oladipo, for all you've done, but we ain't disrupting the chemistry right now. They are developing something special. They will continue to do that. The 2 cutoff points will be the February 10th NBA trading deadline, the March 1 buyout deadline. Those final 6 weeks, they will march with those who are most ready, who can contribute. So the clock is ticking on Victor Oladipo now. Show me something before the trading deadline of February 10th, or else you might have to be left behind. I agree, Big O.
And one more thing before I let you go, looking at the power rankings. Okay, so we knew Chicago was active. We said, hey, man, Bulls are going to be a playoff team. I think most of us agreed with that. Did we think the Bulls were going to be this good? Because the power rankings had them at number 3, man. I was like, and you look at the season they've had. So are they better than what we even thought they could be?
Yeah, because did anyone have DeMar DeRozan as a leading MVP candidate? Twice this week, on Sunday, Monday, or I think it was Saturday, Sunday, stepped up and hit game-winning 3-point shots for the Bulls. So if DeMar DeRozan is the best he's ever been in his career, and now Nikola Vucevic is coming around with the scoring, and you have Zach LaVine going into a contract year, you have a lot of play. And Lonzo Ball, what a screw-up by the Lakers. What a screw up by the Pelicans. He's a really good player, and he was drafted in the right spot. That's 4 remarkable talents you have right there, even with Patrick Williams being sidelined with his injury. Billy Donovan knows how to coach a team when he has talent also. So, yeah, I think you're looking right now, big 4 in the East, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Chicago, Miami. Philly is faded. Boston is faded. I think the Heat can get home court in the first round, but there's some really talented teams at the top of the East. Maybe more talent at the top of the East than at the top of the West.
Yeah. And some of those with Boston, I just don't see the toughness. That's I still don't find that I don't see that moxie from
grit.
them.
Yes.
Yeah, that grit. I just don't see that from them on a night in and night out basis. And there's no doubt the Heat have that. Ira, what are you working on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
I posted a story today. Spoke to PJ Tucker late last night about what it's like to come back from protocols. Spoke to Caleb Martin about it because now you can have other guys going through the same thing, from not playing at all to boom, you're back in there. No time for practice. PJ Tucker was on a 5-hour flight yesterday. He arrived at 5 p.m. at the arena at 7 p.m., checked into the game at 7:45. That's what life is going to be like for Duncan Robinson and Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and Marcus Garrett and Udonis Haslem. So we talked to them about what that pattern is going to be. I'm also have a story monitoring Jimmy Butler's ankle. The injury report doesn't come out till later. I'm told right now it looks like maybe misses Wednesday game in Portland. Hopefully he could be back by Saturday's game in Phoenix. Not as bad as it initially looked. So look to the Sun Sentinel and sunsentinel.com for updates there. We got you covered as always. And tomorrow, noon, a little later than usual, Pallet, Rock City, Inside the Paint. We'll have a full hour of what's going on in Heatland.
There you go. And follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Ira, as always, thank you, my friend. We'll see you tomorrow for the Pallet, Rock City, Inside the Paint show.
Thanks for letting me sleep in. I'll listen to your early hours on the podcast. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.